This is the third small group discussion with J. Krishnamurti in Rome, 1972.
What shall we talk about this morning? Beauty?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please, sir.
I saw a film called Can You Live That Way, where you were questioning some youngsters. But what happened if they say yes to that question? Then they will be like babies. And how can they live like babies without somebody to nurse them?
I'm afraid I haven't quite understood the question, sir.
Now I will repeat them. If they answer yes to the question, can you live that way, from that film I saw titled...
I don't know what film you saw, I'm sorry.
The film on that film.
Huh?
The film on Broadway.
Ah,
Can you live that way?
What happened then if the answer is yes?
It's for them to decide, won't it?
Yes.
May we go on from where we left off yesterday or day before? We were talking about, if I remember rightly, the nature of love and what are the implications of a man who totally denies or puts away from him all those things that are not love. That's what we were discussing, weren't we? And we said love is not attachment. Love is not envy. Love is not pleasure. Love is not desire. And if one denies or puts away really seriously, terribly seriously, the whole of that, then what place has thought in this field which is not that we have called love? I don't know if I have...
The question isn't quite clear. I don't quite understand.
You don't quite understand. All right. Remember we were saying that pleasure and fear go together. Right? Pleasure and the pursuit of it is cultivated by thought. And thought also cultivates fear. They are both these two sides of the same coin. Fear and pleasure. The pursuit of one and the denial of the other is the movement of thought, which denies love. I don't know, right? So we must, I think, if we have to go more into it, understand the whole nature of thought. Right? You want to discuss it? I'm not imposing something on you, please. We are trying to talk over things together, like two friends sitting in a nice little garden or a nice room talking over the problems of our life. Therefore, there is no authority, no imposition, no propaganda, no assertion of this or that, but really talking these things over not only verbally, but non-verbally also.
May I ask something? At the end of the other talk, you said that talking is necessary as long as the conscious mind is active. I'm personally very interested in what could be the communication without the talking.
And this is a difficult question because I don't know if you want to have you understood the question?
Yes.
He says, we ended up last time we met here, conscious mind either resists or accepts. I don't know if you have noticed it. It's its reaction instantly. And a verbal or an ideological statement made by, doesn't matter who it is, there is either the tendency to reject or to accept. The conscious mind does this all the time. And the usage of words, which is the means of verbal communication between you and another, that verbal communication creates certain images in the conscious mind. Please follow this. And those images meet the images you have formed about those words. So there is a contradiction in images. I don't know, Bene? And is it possible to leave the conscious mind alone with all its daily habits and daily worries and the mischief it is making all the time, and communicate with each other at deeper level? You understand this problem? I don't know if you ever thought about it. That is non-verbal communication. Yes. Just a minute, it's very difficult. Don't say yes. It's one of the most difficult things to do because to meet non-verbally, we must both, you and the another, must meet on the same level, right? At the same time, with the same intensity. Otherwise, we'll miss. I don't know if you... Right, sir? Verbal communication does not demand this. You can either accept, reject, listen casually, or play intellectually with what has been said and amuse yourself. Whereas a non-verbal communication, which has its tremendous dangers, because they have used subliminal advertising, which put on the screen, the unconscious takes it in, and then later on you go and buy the toothpaste or the soap, which you So, the meeting, that is really communication, is possible non-verbally when both of us are interested in the same thing, serious, terribly serious about the same thing, at the same time, with the same intensity, otherwise we can't communicate. I don't know if you see all. So we'll come to that little later. If we can go into this question of the whole process of thinking. Right? Because we said the pursuit of pleasure is cultivated by thought. Right? I enjoy a sunset, a mountain, look at a stream or a bird on the wing, at that moment, there is a total awareness of that beauty. Later on, thought comes in and says, how lovely that was. I hope I'll have it tomorrow, or I hope it will continue. The desire for its continuity is sustained by thought, right? One is afraid of what might happen tomorrow. I might lose my job, tomorrow, the unknown, and I'm frightened of it. The fear is the product of thought. Thought thinking what might happen, right? So thought is responsible for the pursuit of pleasure and the pursuit and the denial of fear, right? So we have to go into this question of thought, right? We said thought is measure, right? Oh Lord, come on, right?
There is still being thought, because one cannot stop thinking even when one is in love with a beloved object.
I'm coming to that, sir. We are coming to that question. Go slowly. See, sir, thought for us is tremendously important. Thinking is our only instrument. At least we think so. We have cultivated thinking a great deal. And all our social, moral, religious, technological field is the result of thought, right? All our religions, whether Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim, is based on thinking. No?
Also bhakti.
No.
Wait, no.
Also bhakti.
Wait, go
How
slow.
about irrationality? Isn't that an enormous element in those religions? And
Yes, rationality.
Irrationality.
Yeah, which is part also thinking. To be irrational is also thinking.
What I experience.
Go slow. First of all, let's get the picture. The whole picture, not just one part of the picture. The thought has created myths, right? Myths. The Christian or Hindu religions are based on myths, right?
But not only the religion.
Wait, I'm coming. I said, sir, religion, our relationships, technological world, the whole existence of our daily life is based on thinking. The whole of it. If I did not think, would I have devotion? Huh?
That will not be the devotion, that will be foolish.
Yes, sir. Go slip. We should observe yourself, sir, not what I am talking about. Observe it around you. You see, all our actions, conscious or unconscious, is based on thought. No?
Well, thought might be a superstructure.
Wait, sir. Without thinking, you wouldn't know where to go. You wouldn't know what your house is, where your house is. You wouldn't be able to recognize your friend. You wouldn't have this conflict in yourself if there was no thought. So thought in all its form or in all its movement is our life.
But a dog knows what his house is and where it lies without thinking.
We are coming to that, sir. We said thought is responsible or cultivates the continuity of pleasure, and thought is responsible for fear. These are facts. It's not your statement, my statement. It's a fact. And to understand the full significance of a mind that is not caught in these two, but acts from a totally different dimension. That's what I want to get at. Right? So I say to myself, what is thinking? I'm not against it. You understand? No, I don't say what will happen if I don't think. How shall I live if I don't think? But I'm asking, what is thinking?
Rationalizing.
Thinking, sir. No. What is thinking? Not rationalizing. What is the source of thinking? What is the...
Seeing.
Huh?
Myself.
No, don't reduce everything, sir. Don't be caught in that little cage.
No,
But it is.
Wait. We're going to approach it differently, sir, and you will see it much more clearly.
any response to that question is another thinking.
No, I'm asking you, ask yourself, what is thinking? How does it happen?
By seeing. You have to see the thing. To see.
Sir, not quite. Look, I ask you a question. I ask you, what's your name? One moment. I ask you, what's your name? You reply immediately, don't you? I know it. I hope you know your name. Now, what has taken place there? I ask you, what's your name? And you reply. What has taken place there?
I remember, but I have been taught. The name is given.
No, be simple, sir. Be simple.
A reaction.
You react to the response instantly. Immediately. If you know your name. No? No, come on, sir, please. Let's be serious. Don't play with words. You respond immediately. That is what has happened. You know your name very well. You have repeated, I don't know how often, and therefore the response is instant. There is no time lag between the question and the answer. So there it is a fact. I ask you your name.
It's not a fact for me, I'm sorry.
What? I asked you your name, sir.
Yeah?
I asked you what's your name.
I needed time to think about it.
Why?
I don't know. Because I'm not identified.
For instance, a neurotic.
We're not neurotic. You are missing my...
He could stammer and not find the answer.
Are you neurotic?
No, but I know it has happened to me that I do forget about another name, not about
No,
my own.
I am asking you, what's your name? I'm not asking you what is his name. I am asking you, what's your name? And because you are familiar with that name, you reply instantly. That's all. There is no...
Many reflexes before we reply.
I know that, sir. I can go into that. You verbal communication, the hearing, and so on, and you reply. My Lord, what a simple thing we make. There is no time lag between question and answer, right in there. There is a time lag when I ask you something much more difficult, with which you are not quite familiar. Isn't there? I asked you, what's the distance from here to Florence? What takes place there? You think, don't you? You say, well, let me look. If you can't find it, you look in a book or in timetable. You follow? You ask somebody. So, listen to this case. Very interesting. There is a time lag between the question and the answer because you don't know it. In that interval, thought is in operation. No? Right? If you know it, you say it instantly. If you don't know it, it is still thinking about where it can find it. Now, I ask a question which you don't know at all, an answer. What takes place? That is, I ask you a question. A very complex or very, very erudite question. You follow? And you don't know the answer. But you wait for the answer. You wait or expect for someone to tell you. Right? Then there is further a question which, when asked, you say, I really don't know. There is nobody knows. You follow the 4 categories. All that is the thinking in the interval of time between question and answer. No? So, thinking is the response of memory. No?
Yes. Why isn't it rehearsal?
Huh?
Why isn't it a form of rehearsal for the answer you're going to give or the action?
Yes, sir, that memory. If you had no memory at all, if you were in a state of amnesia, you wouldn't answer. And that's why I'm saying that thinking, all thinking is the outcome or the response of memory. It's so obvious. Memory is knowledge. Knowledge, experience, either through your own experience or the accumulated experience of mankind. So the brain holds these memories and responds when a challenge is made. This is so simple. Right? Now, so thought is always responding from the background of memory, knowledge, experience. Huh?
This means that thought is a deliberate act. I mean, something that you decide upon.
Not decidable. It happens.
It's not sort of, sometimes it can be intuition or something you cannot explain. It doesn't respond to a precise question.
I don't quite follow. I don't quite
Sometimes a thought can come to a mind, my mind, without me thinking about it.
No, that's quite a different matter. Isn't it? You might not be thinking about it, but it is there and it comes out. You see, we are making little issues when the big issues are concerned. So knowledge and thought go together. Thought is knowledge. Right? And so, thought is never new. I don't know. You understand, sir? When I have based all my life, all my structure of living on thought, it's a shock to find out for oneself that there is nothing new. And thought is never free. So I've discovered two things. Thought is the response of the past, memory, knowledge, because knowledge is always the past. And I've found that thought can never be free and therefore can never be new. The new can take place only when thought is an absence. Right? Now, this is piano. The culture the culture in which one is born cultivates further this thought. And this thought, one finds, is based on memory, and memory is knowledge, experience. You can add more to it or take away, but there is always a reservoir of memory. And therefore thought can never be new and never be free. But yet, how does it happen that new inventions take place? You following on? A scientist discovers something totally new, right? If he's a really good scientist, not a slave of a government. If he's really top-notch scientist, he finds something totally new. How does that happen? No, to you it must happen, not to this scientist. I'm only... So, you heard the speaker just now say, thought can never see anything new. Right? Thought not being free, thought being the result of the past, it can never see something totally different. Doesn't that strike you most extraordinary? And our life is that. Therefore, our life is mechanical.
If our life was only that, we would already be dead.
But
So
wait,
that
do...
means that there's something else.
I I know nothing, something else. Don't begin with something else. I begin with not knowing. I move from fact to fact. I see that one's life, based on thought, can never be free. I may talk about freedom. I may revolt against the dictatorship. I may deny authority, which are all the functions of thought. But thought is the response of the old, modified, changed, all that. So, and thought divides the me and the not me, the we and they, right? Christian religion, Hindu religion, Buddhist, communist, socialist ideologies. You follow? Thought is the very essence of division. I wish you would see this. I am jealous, I must not be jealous. I am rich, I must have consideration for the poor. So thought divides. Why? Because it cannot meet the movement of change. The movement of a revolution, psychological revolution. You getting what I'm... So, then what does the mind do? Thought is necessary, you understand?
What is necessary now? Is this what your question is?
No, not now. No, I'm not. Sir, look, I see thought is operating all the time on the foundation which the past has built. Past being also the projection of the future through the present, modified. Right?
Now we begin to observe only the thought, it seems to me, not the end result.
No. So, what shall I do? What shall the mind do if thought divides?
To watch, to pose the question of the conflict.
Put yourself that question, sir. Don't answer me. Put yourself that question. All your arts, your science, your relationship with another, is the expression of thought. You may have had an insight into beauty for a split second, for a few minutes, and then you translate it through thought and put it down on canvas, a paper, or a stone, whatever it is. So what shall the mind do when it has been nurtured, cultivated, to exercise thought? Come on, sir. It's your problem.
You're asking us to think about it.
Huh?
You're asking us to think.
I don't. If you think about it, you're back again.
No, but by concentration of thinking, there will be in one directed way of thinking, and the artist and the scientist goes by that way of concentration in thinking to a moment where some new comes.
No, sir.
The conflict, perhaps, is that you are asking a question of which we cannot give you an answer.
I'm going to tell you.
I don't...
I'll show it to you in a minute. Go slow. I know, of course, I'm going to show it to you. I've come to the point when I see my life, one's life, not mine, one's life is based on thought. All existence is based on thought. And there is the pursuit of constant pleasure. And the other side of pleasure, fear. These two are going on all the time in a human being. Occasionally he may be free of fear, or occasionally the pursuit of pleasure stops and there's some... But thought is in constant movement. And mind says, yes, I see that it's never free, it's never new. Realizing that fact, it's not a supposition. Realizing that, says, is there anything new at all? Or is the invention of thought? You follow all this? A new picture is an invention. You follow? A new idea, new ideology, whether it's Marx, Mao, or somebody, is still in the field of cognition, mentation, thought. Right? So is there anything new at all? Or is it only thought meeting thought? You follow? Modifying, changing, but it's still the movement of thought all the time, spirally or horizontally, vertically or horizontally. You get it? Now, go into it. I'm asking, is the mind asking itself, is there anything new, or is it only the movement of thought, modified, changing, adjusting, remembering, imagining, contriving? You follow? Or is that all? So, you follow? Thought is measure. And if it is measurable, it can never find the immeasurable. I mean, I've been told, I don't read, fortunately. I have been told by so-called people who know something about all this, that Greece exploded on Europe. And measurement was necessary, and so on. We were talked about it the other day. So the mind says, as long as it lives in the field of time, fear, pleasure, thought, all that is measurable. I was more happy, I had greater pleasure yesterday than today, or I'm much more frightened today than yesterday, or I will be frightened tomorrow. All that is measurable, all that is thought. And any movement of thought towards reality, if there is a reality, is its own invention. I don't know if you see all this. All the gods, the saviors, the masters, you follow, sir? You wipe all that out.
Oh, images.
Of course. I said contriving, imagining, remembering. So is there anything new? How is the mind to find out? Or just always live in the field of thought, modifying it, adjusting, contriving, you follow? Changing, but it's always within that field. I don't know if you follow all this. Do you?
Yes.
Then I'm asking myself, and you're asking, is there anything new? How is the mind to find anything new? If there is something new.
The mind cannot find
Maybe,
anything new.
I see. The mind, I mean, you must go in vain. I use the word mind as a total movement in which is included the intellect with all its rationalizing and irrationalizing process. Right? The mind with all its emotions, images, you follow? All the total, the body, the brain, the emotions, all that's the mind. The mind is asking itself, is there anything new? Or is it all image making? Or is it all a verbal structure? Image is a verbal structure. Or is it all a symbol? We live in symbols. Never real. You follow all this? And the whole world is concerned with thinking. And I, or you, want to reform the world. Want to change the world. Of course. Don't you? Or you're frightened of that word change?
No, I'm only frightened of excuse me.
So when the politicians, the religious, etc., want to change the world, they are thinking in terms of thought. And so society can never be improved, quotes. It can be modified. Little added here, little added there. It can never be free. We won't go into all that. So I'm asking you, mind is asking, your own mind is asking, is there anything new at all? Or is it living everlastingly in images? Right? Now, how do you find out? How does the mind find out? How do you find out, sir?
I should think that you begin to observe with the awareness of the limitations of the thought.
Yeah, you have done that. You have done that.
This is the only thing that you can do.
Wait. I'm going to further. So I'm going. No, don't limit don't limit yourself. That's all. Don't block yourself from further inquiry. I see the brain cells hold the memory. This is and memory is matter. Thought is matter. Thought is time. And therefore, any process of thinking or thinking differently is within that field, absolutely. The exercise of will to think differently, you follow? So, is there anything new? I am asking this question because, myself I'm asking, because can the mind be free? Or it must always live in the past? You follow? Modified, change, Because otherwise, we are just slaves to time. Right? Is there something new? How shall I find out? Can thought be completely silent? And only operate when memory, with all its experience, etc., needs an action. You follow what I'm saying? Can the mind operate when asked in thought, logically, sanely, healthily, non-neurotically, and can thought be absent when it's not when it's not being challenged thinking? Come on, sir, you don't pursue. Can the mind be completely still? And only when challenge it responds at its own level. You understand? Otherwise it's completely silent. If that silence doesn't exist, then the mind is everlastingly slave to its condition. I don't know if you see this. So, can the mind be still? Not always, you follow? Chattering, asking, demanding, pursuing, imagining, contriving. Can it be absolutely still?
Well, if thoughts can be still.
Huh?
If thought can be still.
I'm asking.
Yes, if thought can be still.
I'm asking you that. I'm asking you. Yeah, I'm asking you, can the thought be still? It's the same.
You say thought and mind in the same terms.
Yes, sir. I'm using the whole concept.
Because I thought first that mind was something which embraced everything.
No, I said that. So, consciousness is its content. Right? Huh? It's getting hot, isn't it? Can I open this window?
Oh, yeah. I'm good.
Be careful of those flowers. What is consciousness? Oh, it's all right.
What you said. It's what you said.
I know that. Is its content, isn't it? I'm an Indian. I am a socialist, communist, capitalist, or I like and dislike. This is my furniture, it's my wife, this is my house, this is my bank account. I must succeed, I must not succeed, I must be fashionable or... The content is my consciousness. The content may be expanded, but it's still its content. So, as long as, and part of the whole content is thought, of course, and as long as that thought exists, act active, moving, seeking, searching, asking. You follow doubt, which are all its content. How can there be anything new? If there is nothing new, we are living constantly in the same field, which is mechanical. So this is deadly serious. You understand, all this isn't a plaything for children. If you don't want to go into it so deeply, don't. Forget it. Get up and go. But if you really are serious, I mean deadly serious, you have to find out whether the mind can be so completely still, and from that stillness act when thought is demanded. You understand? So, can the brain, the mind, the body be still? You understand, sir, why? It's only in that stillness you can see something new. Obviously, or nothing. I was talking once to a great inventor, scientist. He's discovered many things. He said, it's the most strange. I discover something when I'm not thinking, when I'm just looking. You understand, sir? The discovery is translated into thought and then put into action, utilized. For benefit or for not benefit, that's irrelevant.
That means vision is freedom of the mind. Because
that's a conclusion which you have come to, which is not your experience.
Well, it has been the experience of so many artists and creators.
I'm not interested. You, not the artist, not the scientist, not the inventors. You, we are talking, you and I are talking, not those people. They won't even listen to you.
Well, I hope that we all have some time a vision of something, and then we feel completely free in our mind.
Vision sometimes is not good enough. It's like saying, sometimes have food.
Vision always is a thing which has not been demonstrated in this world yet.
I don't want to demonstrate.
It seems to me that we've become very involved with this business of stillness, of quietness, rather than being observing how thought works. Let me follow. Perhaps because I'm not quite sure. It seems to me that you speak of the stillness.
No.
Whatever you speak of without thought.
No, sir.
That's not the essential.
No, wait, sir. I went into the whole movement of thought.
All right. Yes, I understand that.
The whole structure and nature of thought. We can expand it, we can put in much more details and go on exploring it. But it's still, very briefly, you can say it is time, memory, imagination, remembrance, and contrivance. That is thought. On that, all our civilization is based. Right?
And on vision.
Ambition?
On vision. Vision, which is something which cannot be expressed in words. Anything.
Vision. No, sir. Who has this vision? You?
Well, the man who has it.
I'm not interested. The man who had a vision 2,000 years ago, I'm not interested.
In our time.
I'm not. Who?
I mean, we couldn't all pretend to have vision.
I am not interested, as I told you. The artist who for 2 seconds or a minute or a day has this extraordinary sense of beauty, vision, translates it into paint, whatever it is, and then the rest of the time he is fighting, you follow, wanting to have more vision. I am asking you, not the artist, not this, you sitting here listening to this, if you think it's absurd, if listening to all this thing, if you see the reality of the movement of thought, what are its implications? And the next question is for you to answer, not for some to answer, whether the mind can discover something totally new, enter into a different dimension altogether, or no dimension. You follow?
This isn't a question that we ask just here with you, is it? It's a question that we perhaps should ask at all times. Not to say that I am still, not that I am free from thought. I would think, I'm not sure, if we can go perhaps just a little further with this, that in our every moment live, every second that we are posing this question, the 2 questions.
No, don't pose it. I am asking you, do it now.
Just I'm going to do it now. I'm going to do it all
No,
the time.
if you, no, don't.
No, I understand. No, I understand. All right.
You have no tomorrow.
Exactly, but that doesn't mean. All right. All right.
Sir, I must see the implications, sir. If the mind is constantly caught in the movement of thought, it is mechanical, right? More rapid, less rapid, more crude, less crude. You follow? It's still movement of thought. And therefore, it is always slave to time. From that, there is the whole fear of death. I don't know, I won't go into it now. Because death means time. No? I will die, hope, not tomorrow, 10 years later. Thought, thinking about something it doesn't know, postpones it and is frightened of it. Or knows the inevitability of death and wants to have some kind of future, invents, believes, takes comfort in some idea, which are all within the field of time. So immortality, you follow from all this. Mortality is death, right? Immortality is non-death, which is non-time. I'm coming to you. I'm showing you, sir, the implications of thought. Unless you see the whole movement, the complex business of thinking, you won't. You follow? You may jump off, but you'll jump off nowhere. That's not the point. So you have to understand this whole question of time. And we function in time. I will be good. I will give up smoking. You follow, sir? I don't say finished. It's always I will. If I am ambitious or crude, vulgar, I will be less. You follow? It's always within the field of time. You don't see this, sir.
Let me ask you something. This idea of stilling the mind also thought.
No, you're missing my point. I ask myself and you, as long as this movement of thought exists, therefore time, therefore fear of death, or all the fears involved. There is no ending to that. Therefore, mind is a slave, just a mechanical movement. It can invent something non-mechanical, as heaven, God, spiritual, you follow? But it is all the result of thought. Right? So, if that is all, I'm not going to invent, you follow? If thought produces all this, what am I doing? What are we all doing? We are living in a prison talking about freedom. I said, what the devil is this?
Are we doing that right now? Isn't this process of thinking?
Yeah, obviously, sir, because I'm communicating verbally to you, of course. You don't see it because you are not meeting the speaker at the same level, with the same intensity, with the same urgency. Then you would get it.
So believe that.
Huh?
Believe.
I said believe is part of thinking.
I know.
So I'm saying, this mind, which is the result of time, this mind sees the futility of talking about freedom, as long as it is operating there. The futility of saying, I will be good. You are either good or not good. You follow, sir? So, I say to myself, mind says to itself, is there a way out of all this? Not a system, not a method. You follow? Can the mind move away from it?
But what is the entity who tries to move away from it?
I explained to you, any movement of thought creates the thinker, then the thinker says, I must move out.
So it's still thought.
So that's what so you have to.
Maybe we should observe without doing any conclusion.
That's right, sir. So can the mind observe the whole movement of thought without any conclusion? How am I to live? What will happen? Isn't there insight? You follow? Just to observe consciousness with its content in operation, without any conclusion, any opinion, any judgment, any evaluation. Good, you follow? Just to observe. So from that, question arises, is the observer different from the thing observed? Are you interested in all this? No. If there is an observer, the thing that he observes is different from the observer. I'll make it very simple. If you smoke and you say, I must give up smoking, the maker of the decision is different from the fact that he's smoking. Right? I'll show you. When he says, I must not be envious, right? The entity that says he must not be envious is different from the thing which he calls envy. So the observer separates himself from the observed and thereby creates a division and therefore brings conflict. Can you, wait, next step, can you observe without the observer? Which is the observer, which is the past, which is, you follow all, observe that you smoke without any conclusion.
If I observe that flower, it's timeless, you know? So it's always new.
Wait, sir.
Wait.
Can you observe that flower without naming?
No, without any conclusion.
No, and please go slowly, sir. Without naming it, rose, lily, iris, you can observe it, can't you? Then what takes place when you observe without a conclusion, without a verbal image which you have created about the flower? Stick to one thing. What takes place? What takes place between you, who are the observer, and the iris or the rose, which you don't name, which therefore with no conclusion? What has taken place there?
Nothing, no.
Huh? Huh?
Is there any difference between me and...
Of course.
There will be contact.
Don't you see much more clearly? Huh? Isn't your relationship to it much closer?
I'm the flower.
No, you're not the flower. No.
Well, yeah, but I can say, you know? That's the conclusion.
You see clearly. There is no division. That's all I'm saying. That's all. Can you do the same with your anger, with your greed, with your ambition? Just to observe your envy without the observer. The observer being the past, right? The observer, the conclusion, the maker of decision. Without that, can you look at your envy? This is easy. But that is...
Please, may I ask, if I look at the snake, in this moment I have the obstacle of disgust. It's no thinking, but feeling of disgust. If I look at the flower, I don't feel obstacle because it goes...
But madam, we've been through that before. So can you observe, listen, can you observe the whole movement of thought? Is there an observation of the whole movement of thought without conclusion? Wait, watch it, do it. You hear that motorbike. Can you listen to it without annoyance? Without saying, I wish they would go away? Non-verbally listen to it and therefore not react to it. So in the same way, can the mind observe the whole movement? Or just keep it, not the whole. The movement of thought without any conclusion, opinion, judgment. Then there is no observer, is there? Then you are seeing, right? Then you have tremendous insight into the whole movement of thought. And you can only see the whole movement of thought, no conclusion, no conclusion, no opinions, only when the mind is fairly quiet. It is the conclusions, opinions, judgments, that is making the noise which prevents you from looking. Got it? Can you do this? Not tomorrow. I smoke. I don't, but suppose I do. I smoke. Can I observe this whole movement of picking up a cigarette, rolling it, putting it in my mouth, lighting a cigarette? Watch it without any condemnation, any judgment, any resistance. Wanting it, my God, what will I do if I give it up? Huh?
You could never stop to smoke in this world.
I think it's the only way.
Now watch it. He says no and he says yes. Two conclusions. And it's terribly interesting. You're missing the whole point. Terribly interesting. See, you have a habit, just a minute, sir. You have a habit, doesn't matter what habit it is. Sex, any habit, which has become mechanical. Can you observe it without any resistance or acceptance? And therefore, what takes place? You introduce a non-mechanical movement. I don't know what.
Why should we be so serious, actually?
Huh?
Why should we be so serious, actually?
Life is serious. To me, this is deeply serious.
That's what I don't understand, actually.
I can laugh. I laugh a great deal. One has to be terribly serious about things that are serious. Things that are not serious, we can talk, play, you follow, laugh about.
Always dividing them in both.
No. This demands your seriousness. Perhaps this is what is the most sacred thing in life. Not all the movement of thought, but to find out whether there is anything not measurable. If human beings cannot change, which is you and I, radically change, but are always functioning within the field of thought, then there is no hope.
Why should we need hope?
No, not hope. Please don't jump on words, for God's sake. Then there is no beauty. I can talk about beauty living in the prison. I can talk about freedom living in prison. But that's just words, occasional glimpse of a lovely blue sky. But the mind says, I don't want to live in a prison with an occasional look at the blue sky.
There's no love, which we're all
That's what I'm saying. So,
that's what we want.
Therefore, I have to reject the whole structure of.
And then we come into acrobacy.
Huh?
And we come into very difficult contortions.
Come on.
I can't express myself. into sophistication.
Come on.
Into sophistication.
Oh no. Oh. So would you talk like this if you are hungry?
No.
You would be deadly serious, wouldn't you?
That's the only serious matter.
Food.
And shelter.
Yes. And clothes. Yeah, you can put on something.
Depends where.
Yeah. But you have food, clothes and shelter, haven't you? Because you are serious about it, you say, I must have that. But that isn't the whole of life. You can have your food, clothes and shelter. And you may never have love. What's the point of living then?
Living is its own point.
Just have clothes and food.
No, living is its own point.
I agree. But if you say food, clothes and shelter, that's enough, then you disregard the rest of the field. And that's what's creating mischief in the world. They say God is enough, clothes are enough, this idea is enough. All fragmented. So I'm so, look at it for yourself. You're a human being, and you live in a world where thought has operated for millennia and has created such mischief, right? We have no love. What is love? We went into it. I may say, I love you, darling, my wife, or my girl, but I am more important than anybody else in the world. I separate myself from the rest of the world. So, thought has created this appalling world. No?
Is it so bad?
Ask the man who is dying in Vietnam. Ask the man who has no food. Ask the man who is tortured by his own conflicts. Ask the man who is ill, physically, desperately ill. A man who is always fighting inwardly and outwardly. He doesn't say, is that all? Is it so bad? I can sit on the river bank and say it isn't so bad because I've got everything I want. So, I've come to the point. I'm for myself. I'm not telling you what to do, don't do. I'm not doing any propaganda. I'm only pointing out the facts. Facts, not opinions, judgments, conclusions. As long as the mind lives in the movement of thought, there is no freedom. As long as the mind is living within the field of time, there must be death. Right? And it has no love. Unless one understands the totality of this, one is living everlastingly in a world that is utterly confused, immoral, insane, neurotic. And to me this is deadly serious.
Receiving, understanding the totality of this. Then we go, what is the next act? Once seeing this, I'm getting myself in trouble. Once seeing this.
That's enough. What is
it enough?
What is taking place? Once you see this, your intelligence is in operation.
Yes.
That intelligence will tell you what to do, not thought.
Yes, right.
Got it?
That's it.
To see the whole picture demands clear sight. Non-verbal, conclusion, opinion. You can, when you look, your intelligence, not yours or mine, intelligence is in operation. And that is the greatest security. Nothing else, not food, clothes, and so on. Bene? What time is it, sir? Is that enough?
We like to listen to you.
Like to listen to me? Do you know, I'll tell you a story. There was a preacher, a teacher, who used to give to his disciples every morning a sermon on beauty, on goodness, on the way of life and so on. So one morning, as he just gets onto the rostrum, onto the platform, a bird comes and sits on the windowsill and begins to sing, most beautifully. Because spring morning, lovely new leaves and green and sky and flowers, and the bird is singing, 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 enchantingly. And then flies off. So the teacher says, the sermon for this morning is over.